So, díomh garda Seán Ó Riabhaigh an dom agus bhhelum sa bheith mar bhór dáneiste den bhríach dúla gábhílis sé agus 8. Friends, family, fellow candidates, my name is Seán Ó Riabhaigh, or Shawnee Poodles if you prefer, and I want to be your Deputy President and Campaigns Officer for the academic year of 2017-2018. So I'm a 21-year-old student studying BA, studying Irish and History, and I'm in my final year. I'm Corkonian, born and bred, proud of it, and I believe that I have the most experience for this job. In terms of my experience, from my very first lecture here in UCC, I've been a class rep. I became a class rep in my very first lecture for a class of over 200 students. From that, I went on to become Irish officer on the Students' Union. From Irish officer, I went on to become council chair, which I'm serving at the moment. And I have also been a constant member of Unculux Committee, and I've attended USI Congress as a delegate representing 1,000 students back in 2015. So in terms of experience and leadership, I feel that I am the best candidate for this job. A part of what I want to do next year is I want to set up a campaign crew, and that would be my main objective for next year. So what I feel is that campaigns tend to be very social media based, and I feel that that's just the way the world is going these days with Facebook, Twitter and Snapchat and all that, and I feel the best way to get campaigns out there and into the people is having people on the ground out with flyers. I know flyers are the envy of everybody, but even just if people have 2 seconds to read them, because I feel it's easier to read a flyer than to actually go out or to actually read something on the computer, whereas you're more likely to just scroll past it. My aim will be to have people from each satellite campus based on the campaigns crew, that's so satellite campuses get more involvement within the campaigns that I will be running. But campaigns aren't the main objective of this job, obviously. They are a massive part, but obviously deputising for the president is another part as well. In terms of campaigns, I want to run mental health based campaigns, drug and alcohol awareness campaigns, education based campaigns, equality based campaigns, housing campaigns. Repeal the 8 is obviously a massive one as well, given that the Students' Union is mandated to support repealing the 8th Amendment. Also, I'd love to run Irish based campaigns. I plan on having Irish involved in nearly every campaign that I run. They're just a snippet of all the campaigns I want to do. If people want to find out any more, want to ask me questions, don't be afraid to contact me on my personal Facebook or the campaign page. In terms of deputising for the president, as I found out from talking to Kate, it's a massive part of the job which requires experience and leadership, and it's something I feel that I've touched on already, that I feel I have, having been on the union for 2 years already and having served as a class rep in my first year before that. In terms of running a good union and working with the president,
my name is Daire and I want to be your Deputy President for the coming academic year. For me, the role of the Deputy President is to fight for students locally and nationally. If elected, I'd like to lobby extensively and ensure the needs of our students are heard. For the next 3 minutes, I'd like to lay out my plans if elected. I want to improve the quality of student life by making changes across the board. The accommodation crisis in Cork is dire, especially so for students. One of my key aims is to work with local authorities, the university and landlords, increasing the supply and quality of accommodation in the city. Key to this will be working to continue and improve the current work done by the Students' Union, such as their initiative to increase digs. The Student Support Service faces increasing threats. Already many services are buckling under pressure. Key to protecting and improving these services is effective lobbying and hard campaigning. I want to ensure that no student falls through the cracks. Susie, Daire and Here are vital to countless students in our university, and we must fight to protect them. Mental health is not a new problem, it is a crisis. Mental health services in UCC are struggling. Already there is a months-long waiting list, with many students being turned away when seeking help. These vital services, under such pressure, they are forced into prioritising critical cases, while many only have the opportunity to meet their counsellor once every 2 weeks. UL Student Union lobbied their university to improve their mental health services, and they were successful. They managed to decrease waiting lists and see further investment into their counselling centre. I believe we can achieve this. With this, I feel we need to do more to tackle the high rate of suicide that has plagued Cork. This is an issue which has disproportionately hurt UCC students and young people in general. We need to expand Mental Health Week and organise one at the start of each semester. We need to collaborate with charities such as Pieta House, Sea Change and A Lust for Life, so that their expertise helps us to help students. Information campaigns that highlight the symptoms of mental health will teach our students to look after each other. On the issue of drugs, I have to state what is obvious to many students. We have a drug problem in UCC. While SUs must respect the law, we also have to look out for students. I will reduce the harm caused by drugs through awareness campaigns and social media updates on dangerous drugs. I will work closely with the societies such as the SSDP and organisations such as the Cork Local Drug and Alcohol Task Force to reduce substance abuse on campus. Campaigning to provide funding for comprehensive drug testing kits is one of my main priorities. Some issues that I want very specific campaigns on would include a student-led campaign on a statutory definition of sexual consent. As Deputy, I'd like to use the 20,000 students who attend our college for effective lobbying at a national level. To be heard by local and national public representatives, we need to mobilise our students to vote. Within our own union and the USI, we need to change the culture of young people not voting. This means bringing a polling station to UCC, running voter registration in or near our campus. I want to ensure each voice is heard no matter who you are. It is vital we encourage and increase engagement so that students in this university are represented on the issues that matter to them. I will maintain an open door policy and actively get out and talk with students to listen to their issues. My name is Daire Hurley and I'd like your #1 vote for Deputy on the 6th and 7th of March. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mervyn and I'm running for the position of Deputy in Campaigns of the Student Union. I've been a campaigner for 9 years. It started during secondary school when my classmates and I walked out of class in protest against the cut to the education budget. It was an attack on my future that made me develop a social consciousness. Since then, I've campaigned for yes equality, against Jawbridge, against the water charges and for better housing opportunities. In each of these campaigns, I held different roles and learned many things. From yes equality, I learned discipline and how important the participation of young people in politics really is. From my campaigning against Jawbridge, I learned how to agitate and how to get noticed by the system that you want to change. From the protests against the water charges, I learned about the importance of grassroots movements. And in the campaign for housing rights, I learned that in order to fight for these rights, we need to accept the reality that the government and landlords don't think we have a right to affordable shelter. When I first came to UCC, I was inspired by Annie Hoy and her dedication to getting feet on the street against the cuts to the grant that would have destroyed many students' ability to attend college without taking a job. Working while studying negatively impacted a student's studies 73% of the time, according to a USI survey. Unless we fight against these cuts, it will only get worse. We students have been passive about this for too long. I plan to change that. Now let's look at the housing crisis in Ireland. The government has repeatedly failed to address the issue either through social housing or caps on rents. Even those lucky enough to find rent are often left living in substandard conditions. A recent inspection of privately rented units in Cork found that 97% of inspected properties failed to meet minimum legal standards. These units didn't have basics like smoke alarms or ventilation. This is simply unacceptable. We are paying city rent prices for what are essentially death traps. Now, we students are entering the workforce during a time where union membership is at an all-time low. Because of this, we have seen wages barely rise over the last decade and companies are making bigger profits than ever before. We are told that we are in the midst of an economic recovery, but who is this recovery for? Not for students, where a 0-hour contract, being called in at a moment's notice and being sacked without reason are commonplace, and we have nowhere to turn for support. We haven't seen the strength of a trade union. I want to invite a local trade union to hold workshops and workers' clinics on campus so that we can learn the importance of a union and the benefits that come with a trade union. Finally, students' campaigns have become less and less active as time goes on. We're content with sharing a post or signing a petition and think that lobbying will change the world. We've been content with small gains for too long, but we're tired of taking an inch while the government and austerity have taken a mile. It's finally time for the student body to show their strength. It's time for us to work with the CIT Students' Union and show that we here in Cork are not afraid of putting our feet on the street against the cuts to our education, the cutbacks against the fees. The old strategy of petitions and lobbying doesn't work. We've seen that over the years. We need a new alternative strategy from an alternative candidate. When you go to vote on the 6th and the 7th, vote for a candidate with passion, experience and a plan for the students' voice to be heard on the local and national level. Gurb má go to Oxford, agus vote Mervyn for deputy.